Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
I am Jason.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Jason.
I'm also Jason.
Welcome back. We just listened to Blossom by Milky Chance. I'm going to open the floor straight away. What are general thoughts people had?
Okay, so Human Psychology 1L. There's a thing in which when you hear or see something that's familiar, you like it. And because there was nothing original at all in this entire album, I couldn't hate it. So well done.
Bold statement straight away.
Well done to Milky Chance.
Yeah, okay, we'll address it straight away. Like, they've addressed it before. They chose the name when they were younger, and then it just kind of, like, stuck.
You know you can change names though.
Yeah, but...
You have to take a chance on that.
But then also look at
Yes.
what happens when you change names. Look at, like, Chet Faker
Look
trying
at,
to
like,
rebrand
Led
his Nick
Zeppelin.
Murphy. What, rebranding?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't big before they rebranded.
No, kind of
But
big.
not the same.
Okay, well, Milky Chance were way too big to rebrand then. Yeah, they were bigger than Led Zeppelin were at the time.
You mean the New
The New York.
Yardbirds?
Yes, I know. All right, so yes, that's the album. It's the Biebs put it rather scathingly, but I don't disagree. Any other thoughts generally on the album before we do a deep dive?
I really liked a lot of what they did.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, I enjoyed the album.
I agree.
I familiarity is not a bad thing, and you're all building from like
Yeah.
the things you know and listen from. But I feel like you're going to disagree a lot on this, but that's fine.
No, I reckon you're right on that, but I didn't feel they knew what direction they were taking a lot of the songs. Like sometimes you'd get halfway in and you'd feel like
Well,
you're
that's
getting...
the thing. There's no direction.
No, and you get this like nostalgic trip of a different song, which we often felt. We were often looking up at each other, but when we sort of, you were expecting something and then it went in a completely different direction that was in no way sort of where I was expecting or what I thought any of it would do. And that confused my ears a bit.
I think as an album, direction-wise, tonally it was mostly the same minus 2 or 3 songs.
And we'll get to that.
And yeah, we'll definitely, they're ones we have to chat about. But I don't think the order...
Scathing.
I don't think the order mattered. Like, you could have rearranged the songs, minus those 3 songs that we'll specifically speak on. All of the others, it didn't feel like it was a narrative or a story or a journey. Like, collectively, the songs belong together, but there wasn't this is the order to experience them in so much.
Well, that's kind of why I didn't like it, was because by the time we got into the end of the album, it just felt like I'd heard the same song 15 times.
And we only listened to 14 songs, so so you got to hand it to Milky Chance.
Right, and it's just sort of like, I don't know. I think actually, we'll get to this, but the songs that everyone hated, I actually think I liked the most.
Okay.
Because
Well,
they were so different.
Let's just start there. The first one I want to talk about is Stay.
Which is just vocals and acoustic
Just
guitar.
vocals and acoustic guitar. So the reason for me that I think a lot of their other stuff works is their production and choice of sounds that they use are very clean and well produced. And that kind of contrasts the raspy, gravelly sound in his voice. And like that's the interesting part for me, minus all the textures, which we'll talk about later. In Stay, they have a really dirty kind of acoustic sound.
Right.
As dirty as you can get an acoustic sound.
Yeah.
And it matches his voice to the point where it's just so much, like there's no interest because the tone of both of them is like really similar and it's just that across the piece. And so there's not that like contrast that was like I found interesting in all the other songs.
I felt that muddied his voice to the point where at times you couldn't understand what he was saying as well. Like the lyrics, I think he was thinking about something, but unless there was like this space in the guitar, you couldn't actually quite follow his words. I found that personally, I just couldn't
I
hear
can't.
the enunciation.
I don't think I knew any of the lyrics in any of the songs except for the one song that I had listened to before.
I don't know. I completely disagree with all of your points, to be honest.
That's great.
Like, I thought it was the first time where he changed his tonal quality. So instead of it being really raspy, you kind of, I don't know what the technique is called, but it was like a nice, gentle tone, which I don't know. It just I kind of preferred it. I think it was just because it was different.
I was excited for the change when I first heard it, but the more it went on, the less I liked it.
And the chorus, I will give it this. The chorus was really, really fucking atrocious, and it kind of.
It's so flat. So flat. If I
commentary,
sing flat, maybe people will think I'm emotional.
I think it kind of sounded like he was squeezing out a turd as he tried to reach those high notes. I'm sorry, but
and the other thing that I struggled with so much was the other point of contrast they had in there was this like articulation thing in the melody that he was singing, where he went from these long phrases to this really sort of short, detached singing. And it was odd. It felt like the flow was just killed by I think we got like these 3 crotchets at the end of these nice phrases that were just like duh, duh, duh. It's like, okay, there goes the phrase.
Yeah.
And
it's one way to sort of momentum.
I don't have much else to say about that one. I like that they tried to change something, and I get that it was trying to be emotive by the way that they did it. But I think I would have actually liked it if they had a really nice, clean, pretty acoustic guitar, compared to contrasted with his voice. I think that would have actually made me go, I really like
so
this.
throughout the album, I don't like his voice very much. Which is just a mean thing to say, but I have to say just how I felt about it.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy his vocal tone throughout the album, and I noticed that in this song that his guitar did match the vocal tone, and I didn't like the guitar either. So I just think it didn't sound good, and I think you're right in that the contrast between the gritty tone of his voice and the nice clean sounds of the produced synthesizers and all that stuff. I think that is what creates the interesting dynamic of the band, and this song just misses that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into the next one that I want to talk about, which is Bad Things featuring Izzy Bizu. She has a really, really lovely voice, and I had almost the opposite, where the production was so nice and her voice was so nice that again they lost that contrast that kind of kept me interested. Like, it was just all so sweet and pretty. And I liked the parts of the song where they had him and her singing together, because again that was like a nice contrast. But when it was just her, I was like, oh, this is nice and pretty, and like a lot of other pretty produced things.
Again, I disagree. I don't know. I didn't. It wasn't like contrasting enough. It just sounded like Alt J, to be perfectly honest. Like, her tonal quality was just super Alt J, and there was that really high production value, and the whole thing was. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, it was just flat, the whole thing. But I don't really think it was like a pretty sound. It was just, I don't know.
Maybe pretty
kind of musically dead.
It's very clean.
I actually thought that this one was a bit less musically dead, and I thought in the other ones, whenever there was a guitar accompaniment or something, I always found that they were stagnant and didn't have this flow to them. This piece was one where they arpeggiated almost fully the guitar chords.
Right.
I liked that. I thought that created more flow than a lot of the others did.
It's got a really nice boppy synth on that. It's a funky ass rhythm going on.
Yeah,
I
like
this.
this more.
This was actually one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah.
And it's because of her voice. I thought it really matched well, and I took that as a good thing, because I was not enjoying his voice throughout the album, so that was a nice change. I thought it suited the tone of the band really well.
Interesting. The third song that I really wanted to talk about in terms of the 3 that I kind of had the most issues with was Piano Song. And I actually really enjoyed it again. It was a nice change, and it worked better because the piano was clean sounding and it did contrast his voice.
Yeah.
The song is just screaming for a slow build. Like, it just really wanted some kind of change, a bass, some drums, just to build up and then kind of explode and give it that more emotional feel. And they were really good at having textures and changing dynamics in all of their other produced stuff. But just in the Piano Song, it was just the piano and voice, and it didn't do any of that, which is disappointing because I think they did that really well in all their other songs.
Yes, I very angrily scribbled, there are other instruments to use. It never delivers on its promise.
Yeah.
The song, all throughout we were trying to guess what songs that the songs we were listening to were going to remind us of, and all through this one I couldn't stop hearing 4 Seasons in One Day.
Interesting.
The Crowded House song. Like the piano, it's
I didn't quite get
it's
that
exactly
one.
the same.
I found though with this one the thing that sort of almost was set up for failure is they were using his voice in a storytelling action, kind of sort of similar to your music actually, and we were expecting this storytelling. I was, and I felt his voice didn't carry that, and it was to do with once again that enunciation and things, and the focus wasn't on the lyrics, but I felt like it was set up so that there should have been a focus
because there's
on
not
the
really
lyrics.
anything else going.
I will also let you know, because you've said it twice, they are a German folk band. So English isn't their first language.
Right.
Oh, but they're German, so it might as well be their first language. Like, it's a second language, it's a 1.5 language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if you'd said it was some
Being German's not an
far out
excuse.
I'm just making the point.
Eastern Russian prog rock band or something, I'd be like, alright.
A North Korean mandolin trio. Sure, then this album's a pretty good job.
I'd love to hear that actually.
Does anyone else have any specific songs that they want to talk about, or should we just chat about some more general things?
Well, the Piano Man thing kind of solidifies. Is that what it's called?
Piano song.
Piano song.
Which,
The piano song, it solidified. I thought that it just had the same, whatever it was, 4 chords or something,
Yes.
and it didn't progress, like you were saying, it didn't kind of build. But they never really, in all of their songs, kind of adventure very far. It was just like, there were moments where you could have maybe done a key change or just branched out just a little bit, and instead they just kind of went back to the safety net of the
So
same 4
this
chords.
is why I think I probably differ to you in me liking it, because you know that when I listen I don't pay as much attention to that. But their textural and tonal shifts were really on point.
Yeah.
The way that they shifted between sections was very smooth
I
and
didn't
changing
notice.
instruments.
What song was it? They had this nice riff that they passed between a couple different instruments, and I really liked that. I think it was on the first half of it, which is on my other page, so go on.
Yeah, but they were really good at like stripping back textures to just 1 or 2 instruments and then having things come in and like kind of using that to, even if a verse has been big, they strip it back at the end before they go into the chorus, so the chorus feels bigger. And they also like use a lot of low pass filters for that kind of thing as well, and they automated stuff as well. My favorite thing on this album was, I can't remember which song it was in, but it's in Doing Good. They have this panning effect on the toms, where it came in on the left, and as the toms played around, the sound moved to the right speaker.
I actually think it was just one tom was on the left side and one tom was on the other.
Maybe,
on the right side.
but like
I really like that. In fact, my favorite thing across the entire album was the drums. I thought they were used very well, and I was annoyed when they weren't used. I thought it was very good use of percussion, and they should have steered into that.
It makes you uncomfortable, Andrew.
I had problems with the drums in these songs actually. I'm just looking back and trying to figure out which one it was, but it was one that the bass drum was so heavy. Yeah, heavy bass drum,
I recall
Firebird.
that. Yeah.
And I was just made uncomfortable throughout the song listening to this thud that was permeating through the texture so strongly.
Yes.
All you heard was just this like thud, and I was like, alright, can we get out of the way now? And I made notes of the other things I liked in that song, and I would have loved to hear more of them. The guitar playing this like little boom, boom, beam, boom, boom, nice little melody thing coming through there, playing thirds. You know, I thought that song had an opening reminiscent of the Gorillaz, and I was expecting it to go in like a direction of, I don't know, feel good or something. And then we got this thudding drum come through, and I was like, get out of the way, please. I want the song.
Also, I feel a bit lied to. The intro to Blossom was a really good intro to the album, and I was like, oh cool, they've introduced it well, it is going to have like a consistent story or theme that goes through. And then it didn't take long until I was like, okay, it's just coincidence that song has a really good intro that they've put it at the start of the album.
Yeah.
Because like really, besides the Stay and the piano song, and if you move those to the end, you could put all the others in pretty much any order, is how I feel about it.
That kind of, although I've hated on this album, pretty hard. I think it works. It's kind of like a background music in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
it's not. It doesn't like sustain dedicated listening.
No.
But yeah,
But like the songs.
when we were actually chatting over the album happening, I was having a lovely time.
Yeah.
I agree. I reckon if you were outside, like on a nice day, with this in the background, you'd be fine.
Yeah, or like if you were going, I don't know, like a jog or a walk or something like that, and you're not paying full attention, or you want to just tune in on like key moments, would work really, really nicely. But yeah, that sort
It's
of
not an album to
sustained,
sit down and
listen
listen
to.
Yeah.
not a great experience.
Yeah.
Also, Superman does good. You're doing well for the song "Doing Good." That really bothered me. But knowing that they're a German band, I'm gonna give them a pass on that. Can we talk about the last song on the album, "Heartless"? Because I really loved the intro to this song, and then nothing. Like it. So all of those really spacey and unique instruments and the vibe they've got building there just strips away, and it just becomes guitar and vocals for 3.5 minutes until it gets anywhere.
Yeah, it took until about halfway through the song for something to happen, but also, I know you guys said that it was an effect. I don't know if it was or wasn't an effect. I really didn't like the detuning sound on the guitar.
Oh, I didn't like that. No, it is an effect, surely.
It must be.
Yeah, and again, that kind of matched his vocal quality. That I wasn't
Being out of tune.
Yeah, sure, if that's the way you want to make me say it.
I think we can continue.
I didn't mind the guitar tone by itself, but then as soon as you paired it with a melody and you could hear distinctly that the guitar was going out of tune as it was playing, that's when I really disliked it. So maybe as like an intro effect, it would have been fine, and then to like ease it up when the vocals came in. But then it took 3 minutes before something else actually happened in the song, and it was like very relieving when something else did happen, because I was just like, come on, like...
There was a lot of use of effects throughout this whole album that were really, really good. Like some of the vocal lines, I think they put a chorus on or something like that to give it a really cool doubling effect.
Yeah.
The last song though, absolutely had the worst use of effects.
Yeah.
Like that whole intro
Yeah.
was just terrible.
And I feel like this could have been a really good song if it was like maybe 2/3 the length, half the length, and you just like don't use that effect, and it's good now.
Some of the elements were really cool.
Yeah.
They just didn't go together. The harmonica came out sort of throughout.
There's a harmonica.
There was a harmonica. And we had this like wailing in the background, and to be honest, really cool, but not in that song. I didn't see in any way that it was benefiting the song having that in there. I love harmonica. I really enjoy when it came in. I think it was the other song it came into was Cold Blue Rain was the first time we heard harmonica on the album, and that actually became my favorite song on the album. I thought that was the harmonica there was excellent. It added to things. It was like instead of a guitar solo that we had in the previous songs, we had this
fresh.
It was something fresh. Yep.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
So
in this
fresh.
song, who knows what the harmonica was actually
I was
using
going to say,
for.
I am very impressed if they're actually playing a harmonica because of how clean it was, but I am assuming it was like a sample.
Now in Cold Blue Rain there was sliding on the harmonica, which makes me think that it's not a sample.
Wasn't
You
there,
could
Because
sample
that's
that
more
though, couldn't
specific though.
wasn't
So
there
you
like
have to
an
find it.
improvised, like a solo in it?
Yeah, there was.
I think
On
there
that one.
was, yeah.
But the reason I think it might have been sampled was the clarity we got on the harmonica, which you don't often get. I thought it was a saxophone for about a quarter of the time, and then finally when I agree that there was those sort of bends and things going between it, but I don't know. I don't know.
It was very clean if it was an actual performance and not like a sample. That
So
they
either
used.
you're lying to us or you did very well.
Samples are fine. Samples are fine.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any like big last comments that they want to make?
Did this need to go for an hour?
Fair
Did the
enough.
last song need to end twice before it finally ended?
True, it just we thought it was over,
Yeah.
and then it went on for
Twice.
another minute.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they Return of the King did.
I would say that.
3 endings.
Yeah, so 100% would say that this is like it's not terrible music. You could definitely check this on, but just don't sit down and like listen to this.
I'm gonna listen to this album.
Yeah, no. And look, if you want to do that, good luck, and I wish you the best.